Section 10 of Germany, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The World's Story, Volume 7, Germany, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. Edited by Eva March Tappan. Section 10. The Election of Frederick Barbarossa, the Red-Bearded, 1152, by Cyrus Townsend Brady. Early in the 10th century, the ruler was elected by the great nobles. Gradually, this right fell into the hands of the 7 who were most powerful. These were known as electors. In 1438, Albert, Duke of Austria, was made emperor, and from that time, although the form of an election was kept up, it was understood that some member of the House of Austria, the Habsburg family, should be chosen. The Editor. There was a sudden tumult in the antechamber, confused noises, shouting, trampling of feet, and clattering of steel-clad men on the stone floor. The 3 knights in the room paused, listening. "The election!" burst from the lips of the Saxon. The 3 sword points dropped as if stricken down. The hanging arras across the opening was torn violently aside. A man panting with excitement burst into the room. "Long live the king! Long live the king!" he cried. In an instant the chamber was filled with nobles and courtiers, knights and guards, crowding after him. From the doorway in the other end of the long apartment, the women of the castle, who had awaited the decision of the electors with scarcely less interest than the men, poured into the room, filling their end of the chamber with beauty, to match the brave display of force on the other side. Foremost among them, like a star of the first magnitude in a nebula of lesser beauties, shone the Countess Matilda. Having stood nearest the door, she had heard the knights disputing for her person. She had taken a high resolve, and the color of it flushed her cheek, and sparkled in her eyes. "My lords," cried the messenger, sinking upon his knee before the 2 dukes, who happened to stand close together in the center of the room, while he extended a rolled parchment with dangling seals to them. "The session of the Diet is over. The election is completed, and the choice hath fallen upon—" "Me, by heaven!" the Saxon burst out impetuously. "Nay, my lord, upon the Duke of Swabia." "The Hohenstaufen? How?" cried the Saxon, his face red with anger and disappointment. "It cannot be!" "My lord, his princely highness the Archbishop of Mainz hath declared that Frederick of Hohenstaufen hath carried the day." "The traitorous dog!" cried the Saxon. "'Tis not true. He's promised to me. Thou liest, sirrah!" He made a step toward him, menacing him with his point. The messenger sprang to his feet. "'Tis so writ in this parchment," he cried, shaking open the scroll. "And look you, sir, 'tis sealed with the archbishop's seal. Sire, my king," he added to the newly elected Kaiser, "protect me from the wrath of thy man." "Thou shalt be safe under our protection, and so shall all in Germany who seek it," returned the new king promptly. "My lord of Saxony, hold off your sword. We swear to deal justice, to dispense mercy, to all our subjects high and low, great and small, and to protect and defend this ancient realm of Germany, aye, and the domains which will fall to us when we do put on the imperial crown with our life's blood." "Long live King Frederick!" cried the messenger. A shield here!" shouted old Altenborn, the captain of Frederick's guard. Let us do it in the ancient way, comrades. Up with the King of Germany. In a moment one of the great war shields was brought forth, and the noble figure of the king was lifted high above the crowd in the ancient hall by his sturdy men-at-arms. "Out blades!" cried Altenborn, as they raised the monarch. "And cry with me, 'Long live the king!'" "Long live the king! Long live Frederick Barbarossa!" burst forth in a wild roar, which rang through the vaulted hall. "Long live the Kaiser!" again and again. The glad acclaim rose over a wilderness of shining, uptossed weapons, waved frantically by knights and soldiers. Even the women joined in the shouting, and their voices swelled the chorus which rose and fell, echoing and re-echoing throughout the chamber. "Homage and fealty now, gentles," cried the captain of the guard, dropping to his knee, and lifting up the cross-like hilt of his sword above him. "Let us swear on the cross fidelity to our Kaiser." His example was followed by everyone in the room, save the Duke of Saxony and Count Hohenzollern. The former, standing sternly erect, drew his glove from his right hand, and when the tumult stilled, hurled it crashing to the feet of the upbearers of the king, among the kneeling knights. "I yield no homage," he cried furiously. "I swear no oath. I defy thee, and all thy brood. There lies my glove, my gage of defiance. A traitor! His lordship of Mainz was pledged to me. Place thee where thou art. An honest man myself shall hurl thee down. Beware our next meeting, Duke of Swabia." "Rise, gentles all, and let me descend," said Barbarossa calmly, ignoring both challenge and threat. "Nay, touch not the glove. 'Tis not given to subject to defy his liege lord. Let it lie. We shall know how to enforce thy obedience in good time." He spurned it contemptuously with his foot. "Thou durst not lift it. Thou art afraid, and well thou mayest be. Remember our next meeting marked the end of thy kingship," cried the Saxon, turning and making his way swiftly toward the door. "Seize him! Seize him!" cried one knight after another, rising and crowding threateningly toward the duke, as he roughly forced his way through the throng. "Nay," said the king promptly. "Let him go free for the present. We would not stain this happy day by armed quarrel. We shall welcome the day we meet him again too. Now, hath no one here a request for us?" His glance fell upon the frowning Hohenzollern. "Thou hast not knelt, Sir Count, hast nothing to seek. We could forgive thee much, all. Hadst thou wit enough to abandon thy purpose, thou couldst ask anything. Thy county, thy castles, those possessions which late were thine. Thou shouldst be restored to our royal favor." There was a note almost of eagerness in the king's words. "Sire," said the count, stepping forward boldly, "these are nothing. There is but one thing I would have of thee. Hear me, gentles all. I love the Countess Matilda." "And hear me as well," cried the countess, stepping forward. "I love the count." It was a frank declaration, suited to a free, bold age, but the woman had shrewdly determined upon the public avowal which would, in a measure, commit king and court to a suit which bade fair to encounter many difficulties. "You hear, sire, grant me this lady to my wife, and all thy honors are cheap beside." The Kaiser's face clouded at the continued contumacy of the count, and at the frank avowal of the countess. It appeared that he was no more prosperous in his wooing as a king than he had been as a duke. "We have other plans in view for the Lady Matilda, sir," he replied coldly. "We look higher for her than a simple count and—" "Nay, sire, I desire to go no higher than the count's heart," broke out the maiden. "Peace, lady," said the king, recovering himself with difficulty. "You know not what you say. You are too great a match for a landless and proscribed man. Nay, not another word," he cried, turning toward the count. "Out of my sight, Hohenzollern. I have spared thy life twice. What was my Lord of Saxony's word? Beware the time I see thee again. Look to it, sir." The king hesitated as he turned to Matilda. Should he declare his purpose? Why not? He was king, Kaiser. The monarch could do no wrong. The bold way was ever the way nearest his heart. Sweeping the room, therefore, with imperious glance, he delivered himself of these weighty words in the deep silence which had fallen upon the assemblage. "Lords and ladies, gentles all, the Duchess Adelheid goes to a nunnery. 'Tis known to all of the court how ill we have accorded in our married life. If I am to have peace in Germany, I must have it at home first. That lady and I cannot live together longer in wedlock, or in any other way. Eckhard." A veteran captain stepped from the crowding circle and knelt before the king. "The parchment that we had prepared last night. Our secretary will give it thee. Take it to his holiness at Rome. Know all that in it we crave a writ of divorcement from Dame Adelheid, our Duchess, and word of when we are to be invested by him with our imperial crown. Success attend thee, captain. Write hard and fast. Spare nothing. Supplement our writing with thy cunning tongue. A barony await thee if thou bringest us the release. The hours drag till you return. You, madam," said the king, turning toward Matilda, "will retire at once to your castle at Woburg, and there await our royal pleasure." Silencing the woman's protest with a wave of the hand, the king's glance swept the room, falling at last on the mutinous Hohenzollern, who had not stirred. "What, count, still here?" he roared. "Hast thou not gone yet? A fool! Now, to thy sorrow, we do exercise the royal right of changing our mind. Hold him in wardship, Ottenborn, but with gentle usance, till our further pleasure be declared." "Thy sword, sir!" cried the captain of the guard, advancing toward the young man. But Hohenzollern bent the blade across his knee, snapped it in two, and threw the pieces at the feet of the king. "Thou beginnest thy reign badly, sire, with injustice and oppression. Look to the end, and mark this: thou canst prison me," he cried. "And send me to my castle an thou wilt," interrupted Matilda. "But thou canst not make me false to the love I bear this lady." "And I too shall be faithful to his love, sire. I am resolved upon it. 'Tis not within the power of man to enforce a woman's heart," exclaimed the countess. "We shall see," said the king, smiling grimly, "what time, separation, absence, the king's sword for the count, and the king's crown for the countess, will do. Away with them, knights! We have parleyed too long already. I bid ye to Aix-la-Chapelle, where we will assume our royal crown. Cry with me all, 'Long live this, our ancient German state!'" End of section 10. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by phone.